More countries are adding warnings to cigarette packets. Indonesia is the latest to add graphic photos warning of rotting teeth and cancerous lungs. This is in an effort to highlight the risks of smoking. Research is actually showing that these images are helping people to quit. The tobacco industry has fought government efforts to introduce or increase the size of graphic warnings in some countries.
Iraqi helicopters have fired on a university campus in Tikrit today in its efforts to dislodge insurgents who overran the city and have taken control of most majority Sunni regions. This as they march on to Baghdad. Iraqi forces flew commandos into a stadium in helicopters, and one helicopter crashed after coming under fire from insurgents from the Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, the group that split from the Al-Qaeda. Human rights groups say ISIL have killed nearly 190 men in the last 3 days. The Ukraine has signed a historic trade agreement with the European Union today. The trade and economic pact will make the country closer to European countries and less under the control of Russia. The new Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko called it maybe the most important day for his country. The country had achieved independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. Russia recently annexed the Crimean Peninsula after bloody protests toppled a pro-Russian president when he had backed out of signing the agreement previously.
Leaders from the 28-country European Union have today signed broad trade and economic deals with non-member countries Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. As aforementioned, the so-called association agreements have been a focal point in the region's turmoil. The signing countries should benefit because the EU, with 506 million people, is a very large market to do business with, and because tariffs are being removed more quickly by the EU than by the signing countries. Ukraine signed to help the country flourish and trade. With this supported growth.
The holy month for Muslims of Ramadan starts this weekend. London in particular is seeing a wave of spectacularly rich Middle Eastern shoppers descend in large numbers. Harrods and Knightsbridge, along with the diamond stores in Mayfair, are booming with business, as an entourage of bodyguards, chauffeurs, and Gulf-registered Rolls-Royces and Lamborghinis line the streets. Retailers call it the Ramadan Rush, a huge, lucrative, and fast-growing market driven by wealthy Arabs who travel to Britain to escape the desert heat and indulge in buying luxury gifts before flying home for a month of fasting and increased religious observance. Israel has identified 2 well-known Hamas militants as the central suspects in the kidnapping of 3 Israeli teenagers. It's the first sign of progress in a 2-week search for the missing youths. Israeli and Palestinian officials said the 2 men have been missing since the teenagers disappeared, and that a large manhunt was underway. Israel's security service identified the men as Marwan Kazwame and Amer Abu Aisha. It is said both men are activists from the Hamas militant group in the west city of Hebron. The teenagers disappeared on June 12th.
A zoo in Switzerland has killed a neglected but healthy bear cub. The controversy heats up as they now intend to stuff the bear and put it on display for children to teach them that nature can be cruel. This move comes on the heels of a zoo in Denmark where a young male giraffe and 4 lions were killed in a similar fashion. The Dalhousie Zoo in the Swiss city of Bern said it decided to put down the bear cub after its father, named Misha, mauled its sibling to death. A fact came to light that European zoos kill about 3,000 to 5,000 animals in order to manage zoo populations. Criticism is mounting from animal welfare activists. A Sudanese Christian woman who was sentenced to die for refusing to renounce her Christian faith has been released from custody along with her husband. Mariam Yahya Ibrahim and her husband Daniel Wani said they were freed on bail but prohibited from leaving the country. The pair had been detained after they arrived at an airport in Khartoum with their children. She is accused of 2 criminal counts, traveling with falsified documents and giving false information.